Just a little warning before we start to say I allude to some mild spoilers in the Midgar section of the original Final Fantasy VII that's somewhat a non-moment in the original, but I feel may be played up for big drama in the remake. So if you want to go in completely blind, then I guess this is your warning. But honestly, if you don't know already what's wrong with you, get a life, read a book, fuck's sake. So there I were, resting, just minding my business and staring off into space, daydreaming about an alternate reality where on March 3rd I would be playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But as it was delayed along with every other game this year, confirming this to be the darkest timeline, here I am. I mean, they delayed the Avengers! Anyway, a couple of months back it was revealed that there was a Final Fantasy demo that had been preloaded onto the PlayStation Store, but it hadn't gone live yet, so we waited, assumed that Buster Sword stabbing was imminent. Unfortunately, it was later said that chances are the remake would be released alongside the actual game on March 3rd. Sadness ensued, it then got delayed, and I hoped and prayed that they would still be true to their word and release the demo at least on March 3rd, regardless of the delay. Well, didn't I end up with egg on my face? Because there they go, releasing it on March 2nd, cheeky squares. So here we go! We're treated to the opening title and... After wiping the tears along with that egg off my face, I press a button and we're treated to that beautiful new opening cinematic of mid... Just as a side, I never actually played the original Final Fantasy VII or any JRPGs until a few years ago, so I'm not actually coming to this from 20 plus years of nostalgia. I mean, only like 4 years of nostalgia. And yet, I'm still absolutely blown away by how they've managed to recreate this thing, which is why my bin is full of tissues right now.
Oh, because of the crying. Dirty fuck.
So after the cinematic ends and I've stopped masturbating, the game actually begins, and oh my god, I'm Cloud. I'm Cloud in Final Fantasy Remake. I'm Cloud in Final Fantasy Remake 7. 7 Remake. I'm moving. Look at me go. Look at that sword. Since I saw this, I love the little detail of being able to see the materia and the weapons. You can see Barrett's here too, and Tifa has hers in a gauntlet. It reminds me of like the Infinity Stones, and I've said before, if something reminds me of Marvel, I'm in. Quickly slicing these guys is immediately satisfying, seeing them crumple to the ground, regretting crossing the blade of busting. Oh, I leveled up. I also immediately fell in love with the dynamic of this ragtag team. Cloud's a mercenary who's doing this for the gill. That's money, not fish breathers.
You know what I think?
Not interested.
God, he's a moody bugger, but there is stuff going on with him which is alluded to slightly in this demo. Barrett is seemingly in charge of this mission they're on and is very wary of Cloud. Doesn't trust him at all. You'd think a black man with a gun arm would be a bit more tolerant of people.
I can't put that in.
Wedge is a guy who's charming in his own weird way, and seems to want to believe that Cloud's in this for more than money. Bless his chubby little face. Biggs is the tech guy who's capable and a bit of a cynic in general, but he seems down to clown. I don't know why I wrote that. In all honesty, I'm rushing to get this out, so he's a clown who's down to clown. What? And Jessie, oh Jessie, it's you who I'll miss most of all. She's got a big old obvious crush on Cloud, and she has a cool sobat that floors soldiers. Midgar looks amazing. Just this train station here. It's an actual train station. Am I overstating this? Probably, but look at this, and then look at this. Train station. And it makes me laugh every time there's a bunch of enemies that show up, and they're just like, see ya Cloud, don't die. They obviously hired him to be the muscle, but I mean, one of these guys is an actual mountain of muscle with a gun for an arm. Did they really need to hire this sinewy looking motherfucker? Everyone else has weapons too, and they just hold and look all cool like when they run but never use, you bloody posers. The combat really is a fluid dream. I had trouble adjusting to everything at first, just because between the initial combat, of which there is various light attacks and also a mode to switch to where you can employ heavy attacks with counter blocking and slow movement, which makes you weak to magic and such. You've got your blocking and strafing.
More like Cloud strafe, am I right? Okay.
You also have the ATB gauge, a Final Fantasy staple and the core of 5 years of anxiety for players who've been waiting to see how they'd managed to incorporate a turn-based mechanic into an action RPG. Well, guess what? They bloody did it. It's fucking great. The attacks I mentioned before fills up the gauge here, and when it's full, you're free to open up this little menu, slowing down time and letting you survey the chaos you're in. From here you can select a variety of special attacks, some of which are exclusive to your weapon equipped, magic attacks and items such as healing potions and grenades! I love it. It's just as cool as it looks, and it looks cool. Then we have this shot, and oh, there it is. We can go home now. But before you can do that, you're attacked by a dog, and I take no pride in cutting down this good boy. Oh, never mind. He's a fucking demon. Kill it! Kill it with actual fire. Barrett continues to give Cloud loads of grief over being an ex-soldier with Shinra, and literally does his head in.
Stamp scared to bite the hand that fed him? Or is he a loyal little doggy?
Jesus, Barrett, calm down. I'm not a good little doggy. Have you seen the fucking dog Shinra have? I actually can't wait to see where Cloud's character goes. We all know if you've played the original, but I feel we're going to get a different take on it. Considering they're taking the first 5 hours of a 40+ hour game and fleshing it out to presumably 40+ hours, there is a lot of ways they can tackle certain story beats. Also, just real quick, this demo was the thing that made me realise that Phoenix Down is like down feathers, a tuft of Phoenix Down. I never really thought about it, but because it has the word down in it, I just assumed that it's something to do with teammates being down. That's all. My mind was blown. Moving on. Jesse continues to try and get an idea on Cloud's availability by asking him about his relationship with Tifa. This gives Cloud a panic attack, but then the lift shows up before he can spill the beans. Sorry, Jesse. Maybe next time. While in the lift, Barrett has a full-on meltdown about saving the planet, and comes across a little bit loose in the head.
It's to drain the planet dry. While you sleep, while you eat, while you shit, it's here sucking up Mako. It doesn't rest, and it doesn't care.
And God is also flat. Why don't you people listen to me? I'm not crazy. Did I go too far? I feel like I went too far.
The planet bleeds green like you and me bleed red. The hell you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Answer me!
I love this. Jesse's like, yeah, he does this sometimes. I don't know why I let him out of the house.
You really hear that?
Damn straight I do!
Get help.
Cloud burns him harder than his fire materia ever could, and Barrett threatens to machine gun his face off. He's definitely unhinged, which makes sense. I don't know if I've mentioned this before yet, but the man has a fully automatic weapon mounted on his arm. Barrett then joins the fight, and now we have the option to shoot stuff. This is where the combat opens up even more, as you have the option to swap between the two on the fly. It reminds me of Arkham City a bit, where you got to switch between Batman and Catwoman mid-battle. It's very cool. Then we get a mini-boss to really test out the dual charactering between our lovable rogues so far. I can't wait to test this out with a third person, like if you add Tifa and Aerith in the mix, what it's going to be like to swap between all three on the go. Hearing Cloud and Barrett take shots at each other during battles and whilst exploring, it's hilarious.
Though for all I know, a soldier's rank could be the same as his age. Guess that make you a 1-year-old, huh?
It's so rocky from the start, but even by the end of the demo you can see them lighting up on each other.
Probably because they equipped some lightning up materia. Am I right? Okay.
Jesse continues to be sweet to Cloud, only strengthening the heartbreak that will ensue, and then we make it to the boss of the demo. They set some charges to blow the place up before Cloud senses something big coming. I love how Barrett immediately jumps to Cloud betraying them and almost takes his head off. Dude, you need to chill. This fight is fucking sweet. I talked about how boss fights looked long and epic in my last video, and it really is. You go through a number of phases with the Scorpion robot, employing everything you've learnt so far. I love it.
Gotta win this one for the play. Hell yeah! You see the damage I did?
Keep it up. Try this.
I played this demo twice now, and I'll probably play it a third. By the second time I feel I had everything down, whereas the first time I really struggled to keep on top of the healing and abilities you have, and almost had a party wipe at one point as well. Honestly, it's worth playing for this fight alone, and I'm beyond excited and curious to see what later bosses look like and how they play. After the Scorpion has been exploded, you have a timer that you had the option of setting before the fight. The options are Scared Little Bitch Boy or 20 minutes.
Pretty cocky, ain't you?
You make your way back the way you came, fighting some new enemy types, and by the way, Final Fantasy VII has some of the most fucked up enemy designs ever seen, so I'm super curious to see the more body horror-esque enemies later on. One more moment between Jesse and Cloud. God damn it, game, you're breaking my heart! And you escape the exploding reactor! It's shocking, it's the beginning of the game. Look at that, bloody mental. And that's it, it's an awesome demo, it's definitely worth the wait, and I cannot wait for the actual game, which I'm sure will also be worth the wait. There's still so many questions in regard to the fact that this is barely just the opening act in Final Fantasy VII, the original game. But all we can do now is wait for the 5 weeks until it comes out. Only then will we have a better idea of where we stand with the whole thing. Oh yeah, and after the demo we get a little preview of some other parts of the game, but honestly, after this demo, I'm all full up on marketing material.
Or marketing materia, am I right?